Hello friends, welcome to Mahipal Reddy GK channel. Myself Prithudha Reddy. I'm going to discuss with you current affairs which are useful for all the examinations ranging from central government to the state government. Okay, so let us discuss with our first topic, the agreement between India and UK on custom cooperation approved. The custom cooperation has been approved between the UK and India by the government. This custom cooperation is very important between the two countries, because whenever the trade happens between the two countries, between India as well as UK, what will happen? There will be certain traders who may try to evade the taxes. Okay, especially the custom duties which are imposed on both imports and exports. So this will happen. So in order to investigate these charges or these allegations, the governments usually launch a probe and investigation. Certainly what will happen, that may lead to a kind of miscoordination between two countries, because the law enforcement agencies of respective country will be launching the probe without the knowledge or the consent of the other country. So that may lead to a lot of misunderstanding between two countries. In order to avoid that, a joint mechanism or joint setup will be established, so that there will be no scope for the misunderstandings between the countries. So what will happen? This agreement is expected to facilitate the trade and ensure efficient clearance of goods traded between the countries. It means the goods will be completely cleared. The clearance of the goods will happen within a very shortest span of time. This will help in the achievement of the ease of doing business in the either countries. And coming to the background of this particular treaty or agreement, if you try to see, the agreement will be helping in various ways. I told you already, the custom cooperation is very big step between the two major countries, where this will provide a legal framework for the sharing of the information, intelligence between the countries, whereby they can be launching their joint probe or joint investigation, and it can also help in the proper application of custom laws, prevention and investigation of custom offenses, etc. Okay, so this is what the major step. So you may get a question in the examination, with recently with which of the following country India has entered into custom cooperation agreement. So that could be a first question. And second question would be, what are the possible advantages that may flow out of this particular agreement? So you have to remember all these points. Okay, then let us move on to the next topic. Very important topic it is, you understand, because this is a very important topic as far as the Indian diplomacy or Indian cooperation with its neighbors is concerned. First of all, what is this project? The project is called Project Dantak. Project Dantak. What is this Project Dantak? The Project Dantak has been actually started in the year 1961, April 24th specifically. And this project is related to the country, our neighbor country, that is called Bhutan. Okay. So what are the basic dimensions of this project? What is this project is actually about? This project is actually to ensure the construction of motorable roads in the country Bhutan. You understand, the Bhutan is the country which is the Himalayan country. Establishing the connectivity within the Bhutan or establishing the connectivity between Bhutan and the other countries is very Herculean task. It is not a simple task, you understand, because it is a Himalayan country. It is a Himalayan kingdom. You understand, the terrain of the Himalayas will never allow the infrastructure to be built up in a resilient way. So that needs a special expertise. Fortunately, we have that expertise by the agency called BRO, Border Roads Organization. This is the agency which is well equipped with the necessary expertise and technology in order to build the construction or establish the construction or connectivity to the Bhutan. And in order to establish a proper infrastructure in the Bhutan also, this BRO is well capable. So what are the projects that BRO actually executed in the country called Bhutan? That is Paro Airport, Yonfula Airfield, Thimphu Tashingang Highway, telecommunication hydropower infrastructure. Okay, and there are colleges. Okay, and lot of infrastructure has been created by this BRO. And coming to what is the relationship the India actually shares with the Bhutan. India shares a very beautiful relationship all down all these years. For example, in the year 1949, India has entered into Treaty of Peace and Friendship with Bhutan. So this will help the Bhutan to ensure its development in the commerce, okay, and also all the infrastructural provision and the protection from the external threat, etc., has been provided by this particular treaty. And in the year 2007, this treaty was renegotiated, and Bhutan now it is able to have its own sovereignty, and it abolishes the need to take India's guidance on the foreign policy. By this 1949 agreement, the foreign policy was within the hands of the India as far as the Bhutan is concerned. But in the year 2007, India has given back this sovereignty by the renegotiated agreement. So we must remember these factual things because these are very important. So they may ask you, the Bhutan-India Friendship Treaty has been revised in the following years, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. In that way, they may ask you. You must be mindful of these factual things. And what is the significance that comes out of this particular treaty? Okay, so this all these years, Dantak has met the very big challenge of infrastructural requirements, that is myriad of infrastructural requirements. Okay, and this project has been successful, had succeeded in creating educational facilities, medical facilities, etc. And Bhutan is very vulnerable to many earthquakes. For this reason, you need to have a proper balancing between the ecosystem and the infrastructural needs. So that was ensured by this particular Border Roads Organization. Okay, then coming to next, what is the background of this particular Border Roads Organization? Let us understand. Border Roads Organization, it is a wing within our armed forces, Indian Armed Forces, and the mandate of the BRO is to maintain the road networks in the India's border areas and especially with the neighboring countries. Okay, so especially you always remember BRO's role comes in where there are very big infrastructural challenges. The activity of BRO can be seen more in the Himalayan states, especially Jammu and Kashmir, Arunachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. Okay, like these states, you can see the repeated activities of BRO, especially in construction of the road connectivity along the Indo-China border. Especially with respect to neighboring countries, you can see the activities of BRO in Afghanistan, Bhutan, Myanmar, Tajikistan, and Sri Lanka. Okay, let us understand the concept, the background of the BRO specifically. It was established in the year 1960. Okay, and moreover, its headquarters are located in the New Delhi, and it has served the neighboring countries India, Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar, and Afghanistan. And Director General is Lieutenant General Ranjiv Chaudhary. Okay, so this is what very vital for your examination. Okay, then coming to next topic, third topic, that is Global Forest Goals Report of 2021. This report is very important for your examination. So they may ask you who had published this report. That is the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of United Nations. So what is this agency? Is actually it is a part of UNO. Okay, this is the agency to promote the sustainable developments. Okay, so we have declared the sustainable 7 goals as a part of the sustainable development goals. Okay, so which were actually adopted by the UN General Assembly. So how far these are achieved, so that will be monitored by this particular agency. As a part of that effort, it has published a Global Forest Goals Report of 2021. So what does it say? It says the COVID-19 is leading to very systemic vulnerabilities and inequalities in the society. And the impact of the COVID is also very much huge in the global output as far as the forest is concerned, because the global output is in the contraction. About 4.3% of the global output is contracted, and the pressure on the forest is continuously increasing. The pressure on forest is continuously increasing. The deforestation is taking place, and the forest dependent population, many tribals and nomadic people will be there in the forest. No, their dependence on the forest making them further vulnerable to their inequalities and poverty. So this is what the report actually talks about. The most taking away point is who publishes this global forest goals report of 2021, who published it. So that is Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations. Okay, they may ask you questions in reverse also. The Department of Economic and Social Affairs belongs to which of the following agencies? UNO. Okay, they may ask you UNO, UNICEF, or they may ask you IMF, WTO. In that way they may put a question. Okay, you must be conscious of. And next dimension. So let me clear up these drawings. Yes. Okay, the fourth topic is UK becomes the first country to give green light to self-driving cars on the motorways. So this is what major development. So the dream of driverless cars is being realized gradually. Okay, so UK is going to be the first country to launch its first vehicle on the roadways on April 28, 2021. Okay, so this is what very important. The speed must be under 37 miles. Okay, they have the ministry will start with the automated lane keeping systems, so which is an artificial intelligence software whereby it can remove any hazard that can be possible with these driverless vehicles. Coming to what are the self-driving cars or driverless vehicles? So basically these are autonomous vehicles. These are autonomous vehicles because they will work without support or very least support of the human beings, because they will be able to sense the environment. Okay, and the human effort is minimized as far as the driving of this vehicle is concerned. How does this vehicle run? How it manages itself? This vehicle uses a very composite technologies. This may include radars, lidar. These are very important, you must mindful. Sonar, GPS and odometry, as well as inertial measurement units. Inertial measurement units. Okay, so let us discuss briefly what are the basic uses of these technologies. Radar actually uses what is the light it uses? Just tell me, do you know? It uses radio waves. Lidar uses laser. Sonar uses sound waves. And GPS, GPS is nothing but satellite based navigation system. What is this? Satellite based navigation system. Okay, then odometry. What is the use of odometry? It will estimate the change in the motion. Okay, how it is changing, how the vehicle is changing during its movement. So that will be actually gauged or measured by this particular technology. Inertial movement measurements units. Inertial measurement units. So this is shortly it is called IMU. This is very important. It is like brain, because it uses various instruments like accelerometer, gyroscope, so that it will be measuring, it will be gauging the orientation of the body. Orientation of the body. So in this way, the technology is very profound with respect to the driverless vehicles. Okay, so then let us move on to the next topic. So just now we were discussing, we have been discussing the global report on forest. So let us briefly understand what are the basic dimensions of the state of world forest. Okay, let us understand them. Actually, as far as this report is concerned, Global Forest Resources Assessment Report, the total forest area, okay, so the world's total forest area is 4.06 billion hectares, which is 31% of the total land area. You must understand, India's total forest area is less than 30. Okay, and the top countries with the forest cover is first one, Russian Federation, and second one is Brazil, third one is Canada, and fourth one is United States of America, and fifth one is China, which are having more than 54% of the global forest resources. Okay, so these points will be repeatedly asked in the examination. And moreover, as far as the India's forest status is concerned, let us understand, according to the India's state of forest report in the year 2019, which was the report released, India's total forest and tree cover is 24.56%. And area wise, the largest forest cover we can find in Madhya Pradesh. Later it comes Arunachal Pradesh, later it comes Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and further it is Maharashtra. Okay, and national forest policy, which was declared in the year 1988. This is very, very important. They may ask you for damn sure. Okay, it envisages the goal of achieving more than 33% of the forest cover in India. You understand, in India, the forest cover is less than the global average. Just now we have discussed the globally, the forest cover is 31%, but India is having very, very dismal figure, that is only 24.56%. Okay, then coming to the next topic, Norway to provide the support to India, because Norway is the country, because seeing the global pandemics and especially the situation, the very, very pathetic situation in India, Norway had announced 20 million Norwegian kroners. Norwegian kroners. So that is the currency, Norwegian kroners. So this is a spelling, kroners, Norwegian kroners. Okay, so to help the India. And recently New Zealand also pledged it would contribute 1 million New Zealand dollars. 1 million New Zealand dollars. And Canada also pledged us $10 million. Canada also pledged $10 million. Okay, so in this way we are getting a lot of support from the global communities. And let us also understand, basically in the examination they will be very, very keen to ask you many factual things. For example, they may ask you the factual matters like who is the PM of Norway. Okay, who is the PM? Erna Solberg. And they may ask you what is the capital city of Norway? Oslo. And you may also get a question, what is the currency of Norway? That is Norwegian kroners. So in this way you may be getting the questions in the examination. Okay, then so let us move on to the next topic, that is sixth one. ICICI Bank launched digital banking services for the merchants. You understand, India's Digital India or Digital India mission, very, very important, because it tries to transform the entire living style of the people. Not only the living style or living standard of the people, but also it tries to improvise the trade, commerce, governance. Okay, so in that manner, the government is also encouraging the companies to come out with a lot of innovation and creative approach in order to encourage the cooperation between the private sector and people, and encouraging the business, etc. So as a part of that, the ICICI Bank had started digital merchant bank. What is that? Digital merchant stock. This is a digital banking service, and also it is meant for micro, small and medium enterprises. So these are very, very important to support the employment in India, and to support the financial sustainability in India. So for that reason, these must be handheld and encouraged. And as far as the factual points regarding the ICICI Bank is concerned, it was established in the year 1995. Okay, and the headquarter of the ICICI Bank is located in Bombay. Okay, and the MD and CEO of ICICI Bank is Sandeep Bakshi. Sandeep Bakshi. Okay, the tagline is Hum Hai Na, Kayal Aapka. So this is what the factual information regarding the ICICI Bank. So let us move on to the next topic. Okay, Wipro becomes third largest Indian IT firm. Okay, third largest Indian IT firm. This is very, very important information as far as the IT companies, Indian IT companies are concerned. Because if you try to rank the Indian IT companies in India, which company backs the first position? That is TCS. It backs the first position, and second position it goes to Infosys. Okay, till recent times it was HCL which was occupying the third place, but its place was occupied by Wipro, and fourthly it is HCL. Okay, this is what the important information. They may ask you directly, Wipro occupied which of the bank's position in the third place. In that way you can get a question, or else you may be getting a question regarding the ranking of the Indian IT firms as far as their business worth is concerned. Okay, let us move on to the next topic. And coming to eighth topic, Indian firms in the list of the Times magazine. Recently, two companies from India, that is Jio, okay, Jio, as well as the Byju's. These have figured in the list of the Times magazine, because Times magazine is very, very famous and reputed magazine. I will discuss about this. And the two platforms I told you, that is Jio and Byju's. Jio was established in the year 2019, became very, very successful. That is the reason why it found its place in the list of companies published by Times magazine. And it is founded by whom? You know all, Mukesh Ambani, and headquartered in Bombay. And coming to Byju's, Byju's was established in the year 2011. So you will be getting questions like this. What is the year of establishment? And founder is Baiju Ravindran. Byju's Ravindran. And it is headquartered in Bangalore. Okay. So these are the important information regarding the companies that have been listed. So let us understand the Times magazine. The Times magazine was actually established in the year 1923, and it is bi-weekly magazine. Previously, prior to 2021, it was a weekly magazine, and it is based on New York. Okay, so it is a city of America. Then moving on to the ninth topic. So there was a new secretary who was announced by the Department of Finance. Okay, so who is that person? You all know, I think you can guess. TV Swaminathan. TV Swaminathan was appointed as a secretary to the finance department. Previously, he was working under the expenditure department of expenditure. Okay, and he let us know some certain points about this person. So he is 1987 batch IAS officer. He belongs to Tamil Nadu cadre. Okay, so he is very, very famous IAS officer. So as an opportunity regarding this particular discussion, let us understand what are the various wings in the Ministry of Finance. Very, very important. So as far as the Minister of Finance is concerned, who is the Minister of Finance? Nirmala Sitharaman. Nirmala Sitharaman. And who is her deputy? Anurag Thakur. Anurag Thakur. So he is the Minister of State for the Ministry of Finance. It is having, the Ministry of Finance is having 4 wings. One is the Department of Economic Affairs. Second one is the Department of Finance. Third one is the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management. And next one is the Department of Expenditure. Okay, Department of Expenditure. And another department is there, Department of Finance. Okay, in this way there are 5 wings in the Ministry of Finance. Okay, you may get a question, which of the following are the various departments under the Ministry of Finance. Okay, let us move on to the next topic. Just wait. Yes. Okay, next important topic is DRDO conducted maiden trial of Python 5. So you understand this Python 5 is air-to-air missile. Okay, tell me whether it is short range missile or long range missile. It is short range missile. Okay, it is air-to-air because it is targeted from one aircraft to onto the another aircraft. Okay, so it is a fifth generation short range air-to-air missile. It is 5th generation missile. And what is the technology it uses? Infrared technology. Infrared guided missile it is called. It is called the infrared guided missile. Its range is 20 kilometers. Okay, and it is actually manufactured by a company, that is Rafael Advanced Defense System. Rafael Advanced Defense System. It is Israel based company. Okay, you don't get confused with the Dassault Aviation's Rafael fighter jet. Don't get confused. It is the Israel based company. Okay, and the first missile it was developed was Derby. Okay, so it is the second missile in the row, and DRDO had conducted a first trial of Python 5, which became very much successful in Goa. Okay, then let us move on to the next topic. China launches. This is very, very important because you may get a question, what is the space center name of China? Okay, China has launched a core module for its permanent space station. China had developed its own permanent space station that is called Tiangong Space Station. We have already international space station developed by the Western countries. China had tried to develop its own space station, and it is in the process of development. So in that process, there will be various blocks in the space station. One of the module that is called core module. This is very, very important module for the space station. Okay, that is called Tianhe. It was launched by China. Okay, and it also launched another robotic prototype. Okay, a robotic equipment that is called Neo 1. That is called Neo 1, and which is an electronic propulsion system. What is the use of this Neo 1? You must understand, this is very, very important question that may come in the examination. It is 30 kilogram weighted, and this is the system which will clear off the space debris, because when many countries are launching their own satellite machinery or satellite systems, what will happen? The age-old satellite system will become the debris. The space debris is very, very problematic for the global community. For that reason, you have to clear them off. So this is the technology, this is the machinery Neo 1, which will try to clear off that kind of debris. Okay. So with this, I am going to wrap up this topic for today. So if you have any queries, if you have any specific requirement, you can place in the comment box. I will try to clarify them all of them. Okay. So thank you so much. Okay, meet you in the next class.